Hey, Jonathan, how you doing? Okay, so lesson two, and let's go right to it. In the last lesson, where's my whiteboard? Here we go. In the last lesson, I gave you just the beginnings of algebra, and I think it was basically everything that you not only already knew, but that we already covered. So we'll reasonably quickly get into stuff that's new for you. But for now, just remember that if we say, so I'll give you like four quick problems, x plus 7 equals 10, 11 minus x equals 9, 3x equals 6, and how about x divided by 2 equals 5? And then just think about what these answers would be. Now, notice that x is different in all four of these cases, okay? So these are four separate problems. In a single problem, a letter like x, a variable, will only be one value. But these are four separate problems, so we're not going to worry about that. Okay. So in this case, x equals what? What plus 7 equals 10? X equals 3. In this second case, 11 minus x equals 9. So what does x equal? X equals 11 minus 2 equals 9. Okay. 3x equals 6. 3 times x equals 6. That means, again, in this case, by coincidence, not by design, x equals 2. Okay. And finally, some number x divided by 2 equals 5. What is that value? That means that x is 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So that's just a quick recap of stuff that we did last time. Something new. Okay. Everything that in algebra is about equations. Let's just put equations right in the middle. And equations is something that has an equal sign. For the moment, that's as simple as we need to make it. For example, 3x plus 4 equals 11, which is the kind of problem that you were solving by the end of our last lesson. So, and we'll get there in about two more of these, I think. So, but I want to give you the word expression to define what goes on one side of an equal sign. An expression goes on one side of an equal sign, and on the other side here is also an expression. Now, as it turns out, this expression is just a number. It has no variables, so it is called a numerical expression. And in contrast, this expression has at least one variable, so it is called an algebraic, A-B-R-A-I-C, algebraic expression. That's more information than you need, but expressions are really important. The difference between an expression, which is just a string of symbols that you can put on one side of an equal sign to form an equation, that idea is something that we're going to work with. So for the moment, just know that an expression goes on one side of an equal sign, another expression goes on another side, it goes on the other side of an equal sign. And when you put two expressions together with an equals, you get an equation, okay? And we will review this stuff, this vocabulary so many times that it becomes no longer difficult. You don't have to study a vocabulary list any more than you have to study a list of things to do on a baseball field, particularly like catching, pitching, hitting, running, throwing. You have to learn to do those things. It doesn't matter if you know all the words, if you can't do them. And once you can do them, the words are a lot less important. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to say here is let's talk about things you can do with equations. And there's one big thing you can do with equations, and that is solve them. Solve. Solving equations is what algebra is all about. And we were already doing that when we had, for example, x plus 5 equals 12. Solve the equation by finding out what x equals 7. That's how you solve that equation. It only gets more difficult because the techniques get more difficult, but this idea of solving an equation is just find out what is x, or find out what is any variable that's in an equation. Okay. Now over here, we've got these expressions. Like, for example, 3x plus 4. Okay. And there are 3 key things that you can do with expressions. And I'm just going to write them down. Again, you don't have to worry about thinking about them because you're going to become so conversant in this that you'll just know them and you'll be able to express them. The 3 things that you can do, let's have a little more than that. There's 3 things that you can do with expressions. One is you can evaluate them. The second thing you could do with expressions is you can simplify them. And the third thing that you can do with expressions is you can factor them. I'm sure that some math purist somewhere is going to tell me, oh no, there's lots more things you can do with them. I don't know. I think it comes down to this. That's just me. So let's talk about something we didn't talk about in our last class, and that is evaluating expressions, okay? So if we're given an expression like 3x plus 4, right now we don't know the value, and notice the word, I'm using the word value, which is almost kind of here, right? We have an E at the end, so evaluate means find the value of this expression. Now, we can't find the value of this expression because we don't know what x is. But if we're given 3x plus 4 when, or if, or sometimes the word let will be used, let x equal 2. All of a sudden now we know what the value of x is. So we can do what's called plugging in, plug in. The formal word for this is substitute, but everybody says plug in all the time. We're going to plug in a 2 for that x. And that gives us 3 times 2. I'm going to use that little dot now that I have 2 numbers, plus 4. And then what this gives us is 6 plus 4 equals 10. And what we've done is we've found the value of this expression when x equals 2. And that's one key skill in algebra. It's not a difficult skill. I mean, they can make it really difficult, and they will, I'm sure. But for now, it's not. I like that we got to, in our last lesson, we got to the idea that algebra is not difficult. If I could instill that into every student, that would be like such a good thing. Let's take that same 3x plus 4, but now we're going to say we'll just pick one of these words, let x equal 5. Okay? So Same expression, different value of X. Going to be a different response, going to be a different answer at the end, probably, usually. Take 5, plug it in for X there. That gives us 3 times 5 plus 4. What happens when we simplify this? This becomes 15 plus 4, and that equals 19, okay? And that is basic simplification. It can get really complicated, or we can just move you slightly to the next level. I think we were here by the time of our last class. We said, for example, x squared plus 2 was our expression if x equals 3. Same idea. We have an expression. We have an assigned. We have assigned a value for the variable. And so what we can do is plug in 3 here. 3 squared plus 2. We know that 3 squared equals 9, and then plus 2 equals 11. So that's our answer, okay? Actually, I'm not sure if we got to this last time, but now you know how to do this, okay? So this is the first of 3 skills for expressions. And again, we're going to go over these things so many times that you are able to do them without breaking a sweat, okay? So in the next lesson, we'll talk about the next level skill.